Hey there, and welcome to Shredded Cels, Episode 5. I am your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today is Matt Lunn.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Jeremy Zajac.
I'm so hungry right now. You couldn't believe it.
And Mark Goldsmith.
Hey.
Is that your catchphrase now?
Yeah.
After broken controllers?
Yeah, you might get sued for that. You don't, but I want to.
I don't think. Can you get sued for a noise?
Yeah.
Like I know you can get sued for music, obviously, but like
someone spiked the mic.
Oh no, Mark.
How could you?
I wasn't even
It's
yelling.
okay.
It's okay, Mark.
I was just
It's all right.
talking.
So
Do you want to turn down his gain a little bit?
I got it, don't
Okay.
worry. Because he told me to turn it up
Okay, well, this is
earlier.
great. Should we
This is-
restart?
No, we shouldn't restart because we're a conversational podcast. now,
Yeah.
aren't we are part of Tech Heads, a part of AVW Productions, a video production organization here on campus at Ohio University. Tech Heads is all about like video games, movies, music, and Jeremy's doing a crazy little dance right now. Pretty awesome. It's great for podcasts too. All right.
Since podcasts are so visual.
Indeed.
I will do it because you all can't see me right now.
All right, so we've got a tiny little short news segment. Matt, you want to talk about what we're...
Sure. Hopefully you all noticed or heard about the Toonami incident of April 1st, April Fool's Day.
That was the cruelest thing ever.
Well, it might not be so cruel anymore. The fact that Adult Swim is actually asked its viewers on its Twitter account about possibly bringing back the old Toonami block back to existence.
Which everyone is like, yes.
Now, the idea is that it probably will be a cheap thing if all they're doing is re-showing shows. It probably won't be like any new material, but hey, that current block right now looks really sad. All it is re-showing Brotherhood and some other, Cowboy Bebop animes over and over and over, so...
Also, remember, too, that Toonami every once in a while would also show a movie, and it was usually it was actually relatively high-quality stuff like, I guess Howl's Moving Castle and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was part of the... one of the things that's actually what got me into anime was when Toonami did the month of Miyazaki and showed all of his films. That wasn't one of the films they showed, but the point is they did show those things. I don't think they've got the license to do that anymore, but because those films are actually licensed through Disney and gets all complicated there.
I don't know if they can get enough people watching Toonami, though, they might do it.
Yeah, it comes back to that time. I think it would be a smart decision because I would find a lot of anime fans who would actually stay up into the wee hours of the night and probably watch the block to watch their anime.
Not to mention Tom.
Yes, good old Tom.
Tom himself was awesome.
Hey, it's Stephen J. Blum. Can't beat him.
That's right. Yeah, well, when I heard about, the little campaign that they were doing on Twitter, I immediately got on my Twitter and posted at Adult Swim, telling them to do it. And there was even a little place on CartoonNetwork.com where you can basically send them a comment. And I basically just told them, this was a show that for kids in the 90s, I mean, this was, the coolest thing ever.
Actually, this would actually be going back to their original setup for Toonami, because when Adult Swim originally came out, they left Toonami alone. They coexisted for a time. I don't exactly remember when Adult Swim finally ended up swallowing up
originally,
Saturdays.
It was even a week. Didn't Toonami run weeknights and weekends, and then eventually Adult Swim came in and took over the weeknights, and then slowly as time progressed, it lost Sunday
and
then,
Friday and then finally Saturday,
and then it was gone.
And that was one of the. It's like, right in the childhood.
Yes.
Pretty much. But you know what I mean? Obviously it went into the 2000s as well. But I mean, for us who were kids in the 90s, I mean, when we were 7 or whatever, I think
it was a great introduction to people who wanted to watch something different. These action-y shows, yeah, they were edited, but that's what got a lot of people into anime.
I was gonna say a lot of people before Toonami, they didn't even really know what anime was. Like they had seen Pokemon.
But nothing other,
And maybe Digimon, but let's
Yeah.
not talk about that.
Well, even one of the shows that wasn't necessarily an anime, but that I remember recording, and I still got on a VHS because I recorded was the 2D animated Clone Wars, the Star Wars.
Oh, that was awesome.
I loved that.
That's
was
the
awesome.
Aronofsky series, yeah.
Oh, is that what they call it?
Well, that's the guy who directed it, because now there was that one that was the
And
2D
there's
one.
the
Now is
3D.
the 3D one.
Actually, I've watched some. I mentioned this before. I've watched some of the 3D one. It's actually it's very dark. It's very.
it is
Good.
very
Once you
good.
get past that first season, I
Yeah.
heard that first season it doesn't know what it wants to be, But what it's doing now,
It's getting really. I'm really starting to enjoy
that's
it.
the kind of animation I want to work on in my future. Because for people who don't know, I'm an animation major.
And
so.
it's really high quality too. I mean, it looks like it's something out of a movie, and it's a weekly TV show.
I do enjoy it. Also, speaking of Cartoon Network, did you guys see that? I know this is not anime related, but it is cartoon related. Did you see that Cartoon Planet thing?
Yes, on Friday nights.
I didn't see that.
Well, I didn't see it, but they're bringing back the classic cartoons. They do an hour of showing some of the classic, what do you call the cartoon shows with like Cow and Chicken.
Ew.
Well, I didn't care for that one, but obviously
Dexter's
like Dexter's Lab.
Powerpuff Girls, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Chowder. I think Flapjack might have been listed there too. Really, they're really big shows.
Hold on, Flapjack and Chowder aren't.
They're
old.
not. They're not old, but they're no longer shown
the
on
show.
Cartoon
Wait,
Network.
they're not running anymore.
They're not running anymore. Yeah,
I
it's
wasn't as big a fan of Chowder or really Flapjack for that matter.
Neither was I.
Yeah, neither was I.
But that's why it made me. That's why I just laughed at the fact that they were cut. To me, it seemed like they were pretty short-lived.
Actually, no, they weren't. Chowder, I want to say almost.
It went 3 seasons.
Yeah, 3 seasons.
Oh, really?
But it was only like 50 something. I mean, that's still a good accomplishment. But one thing that I've noticed with Cartoon Network over the last few years is they don't know what they want to do, and they've been really struggling, like getting these new shows. And a lot of these new shows are the crappy, Johnny Test and all these things that are made up in Canada. And if you notice, they look cheap because guess what? They're made on the cheap.
Okay, but then on the flip side, they've also got some really high quality stuff, like as we mentioned, the Clone Wars thing.
Yeah, but
now,
that's all.
I know,
Lucasfilm.
but here's the other thing though too. I'm gonna regret mentioning this, but I have seen that Thundercats show.
I've heard that's a really good
It's
remake.
really good. It's very high quality. It's not just I know it's pushing a toy line, but it's even in of itself, it's still really good.
But see, that's what animation over here in the States needs to do is push a toy line. Because if you look back in it depends. Because look at Japanese. All of their TV shows, they always have some kind of figurine set, some kind of toy line with it.
No, I made that sound. It wasn't about me not liking the toy lines. The problem is it's harder to sell toy lines nowadays.
It is. I mean, that's what the original, Transformers and all that stuff. That's exactly what it was for.
Okay,
G.I. Joe, yeah.
Also, I mean, they've also got I know you don't like it, but Adventure Time is
That is a phenomenon. I'm not going to ignore or deny that that's not a successful show. That is doing very well for Cartoon Network.
And
I just think I need to sit down and watch more of it. And I've watched a few episodes, and it's kind of like okay.
I love
there's actually a storyline that goes along with it. It's not. I mean, it's episodic in nature, but there actually is a lot of stuff going on there too, and it's actually a very interesting show. Beyond.
Regular Show is another good one.
That's a good one. I'm not as big a fan of it as Adventure Time. I think is heads and tails above it.
Yeah, the only reason why I like it a lot is because like the beginning starts off like really mundane, and then all of a sudden it just turns into like the supernatural.
As long as
really
it's
weird.
not the world of Gumball. I watched an episode that did not impress me. It was terrible.
I have nothing. The animation's interesting. I'm not a fan of it personally, but it is interesting, and I'll give it that much. Personally, I just don't think their show is written very well. I think it's kind of blah.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about that recently. Like, you look back at those early episodes of like SpongeBob SquarePants, and you look at the writing for those shows. There's some really brilliant jokes.
There's a lot of adult
there.
humor in it. Really, up until the movie. And I'm going to say this right now: the SpongeBob SquarePants movie is good. It's good. It's good. Stop whining. It's good.
It's good, but
it's dark. But unfortunately, that was pretty much the last good thing to come out of the franchise. Did you know that was originally supposed to be the last thing to come out of the franchise? Period.
Yeah, well, originally, Steven, what's his last name?
I can't
pronounce it. I always say Steven Spielberg, but it's not him. But the point is originally for the longest time when SpongeBob first came out, if you noticed, there was no product line for it. He resisted for a very long time so that there weren't T-shirts, so there weren't all this ridiculous stuff, because now you can buy toilet cleaning SpongeBob.
I was going to say, there's SpongeBob everything.
Nowadays, because guess what? Nickelodeon is...
They basically put it into zombie mode. The show's no longer funny. It really isn't. It's just kind of disturbing at times, to be quite honest. The way they treat Squid. Have any of you guys seen one of the more recent episodes?
Nope.
He gets a lot of trash. He gets beat.
It used to be funny because Squidward, used to deserve it. Nowadays, it's just like beat on him. Oh, he's become the Meg of. I know. The correct term is butt monkey, but I think Meg is probably going to eventually replace the
Real-
term butt make.
Really? Because Squidward always seemed to be the one like trashing on
Originally,
SpongeBob. You know?
but nowadays it's gotten just disturbing what
I
they
don't
do
watch it
to
anymore.
Squidward.
Like the only cartoon that I can really say that I'm really impressed by right now is probably on Disney Channel, and that's Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to find anyone who can really say that they don't like Phineas and Ferb. The animation may not be, you know,
It's simplistic,
it's
but
simplistic.
it doesn't.
I was about to say it's not like the fanciest thing we've ever seen, but it's the show is brilliantly written. It's entertaining, and quite frankly, it's downright funny.
Yep, I mean, there's only been a few episodes where it's like, yeah, this isn't my favorite, and that's either because it's a little weaker or
You don't get the I don't know.
or not even that. Just it's like, okay, yeah, no thanks, and
While I like some of for example, I don't know if you guys have seen Young Justice.
I've heard of it.
I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's just not Teen Titans.
Exactly. I've gone back actually and started watching some of the old episodes on YouTube. All of the episodes are on YouTube, all of them. So I've been watching, and they're hilarious. Like each episode is either hilarious or like really well written, and just I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the series that I actually got back, involved back in the day too, was Teen Titans, and I followed it near the end. So unfortunately, I didn't get the whole, the glory of it, but it was still a good series. I love Teen Titans. That's, I think, what needs to happen, and this goes for Japan and the United States, is you do need a revival for Toonami, but you need to not put it in a midnight slot. You need to put it in like a Friday night or sometime where you're going to get a good amount of viewers.
It's accessible.
It's accessible, and make action shows. One thing that my major problem is there's not enough action TV series anymore. It's all comedy.
And you know what? Really, all we've got right now as far as action goes is the Clone Wars. We've got Thundercats, and
I don't know. I've seen
Young
Young
Justice.
Justice.
There's some weird like 3D animation like shows like that on Disney Channel and stuff I've seen, but it seems just so bland and
The problem has been as of late is it's really animation has gone down the pooper for everyone.
Well, yeah, it's like one thing I was explaining to Alex that when I went up to OhioCon this year is that animation back in the day, it was taken to the effect of, I've got this pencil. What can I do? What can I amazingly draw and animate? What can I do? And in the recent years, and we can actually tie this to Gankutsuou perfectly, the idea of making something look, fantastic, it's gone. That's not the purpose anymore. The purpose of animation is, how can I make something cheap and how can I make it quickly? And Gankutsuou, I mean, there are some elements that look very beautiful, but the 3D is atrocious in this series.
I will vouch for that. I'll be completely honest. I thought Reboot had better 3D than this show. And you know what? I liked Reboot, I'll be honest, but it looked ugly.
yeah.
You can say what you want about like One Piece and how like it, because I know concerns. What like one thing that annoys people is how it drags on. Like how you'll notice like sometimes they'll like what's normally like one whole chapter is half a chapter,
Right.
and it's just because they want to drag it on. But the way I see it though is that if you look at the quality of the animation now compared to the beginning,
I would even
is
say
amazing.
The beginning still has some aspects of quality because they did a lot of things still animated, like the boats and stuff. Like,
for the time.
For the time. I mean, even still now, like in opening 6 or whatever, like they're using 3D in the opening more with the Going Merry and stuff, and that's all right. Although the one thing I do have to say that looks absolutely atrocious, I don't even know if you remember this, is you remember the shadows of the Skypeans while they were down on the ocean? Like they were still on the blue sea or whatever.
Oh, and you see the giant shadows.
And you see the giant shadows, and they do this butt ugly, like 3D shot.
Oh, I did see that.
And it looked, I mean, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But they were still experimenting with 3D.
Right.
And I would love to see One Piece put back on American television.
The 3D now is really good. I mean,
Yeah, well, like
would you say?
the Sunny looks really good.
Yeah, the
in
Sunny
3D.
Go is completely 3D, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so how about those squirt guns?
Hey, no, I'm saying because one thing that if Toonami stays in a Adult Swim block, it would be. I think you would be able to show One Piece unedited and uncut.
I would hope so.
I don't know if Cartoon Network has any, or even Funimation has any hope of rebringing that back, because the problem with that TV series is it's been tarnished. And originally Funimation thought they had it when it came down to the fact that, who was going to get One Piece. Funimation had bought all these different website, domains and stuff because they literally thought, oh, we've got this in the bag. We're going to do so well with this series. Well, guess what? 4Kids got it. They didn't do a product line with it, and they, edited the crap out of it, and people hated it. So...
Well, actually, they wouldn't, even if they did like Toonami from like what I think the normal Adult Swim hours right now are from 9 to 6 a.m. in the morning. Even if they started at 9, they could show some of the like more kiddie friendly anime like Boba 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 Boba, how many B's it is. But they could also show stuff like an unedited version of One Piece, or at least, mostly unedited. Memory serves right. There's some things in anime that would not be acceptable on American television.
Well, on Adult Swim right now, I mean, they show Bleach and Fooly Cooly and Fullmetal Alchemist, and that's
there's still censorship in some of those too. If you pay attention, you'll sometimes see the censor bar. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just like there's just some things that in anime that sometimes aren't acceptable.
What were you talking about One Piece though? Like,
if memory serves right, there's a couple early shower scenes that are a little racy.
I mean, a little, but I mean,
you could get away with it on compared to Code Geass in that one episode with the shower scene where they really had to do censor bars for areas.
But there was,
they didn't even censor bar; they blurred it. They did the weird pixely blur.
Yeah, they did that in there was, I want to say it was like 1 or 2 episodes of Cowboy Bebop. They do the same thing.
Because there's one episode with frontal nudity.
When Crocodile stabs Luffy with his hook, I don't know if that would fly.
That could fly. I mean,
there's some pretty gruesome stuff. If you've seen some of the anime, they like I still can't pronounce it. The one that starts with the D.
Oh, Durarara.
Yeah, if you ever watch it, there's a lot of
there's dropping of the F-bomb, and they have to censor that out. It's funny because you hear it.
That's funny though. They don't have to censor it.
But they are. I don't know why they're.
Yeah, since they're not a public domain channel, they're not required to censor things. I think I'm not really sure why they don't censor. I mean, why they do censor. I know it's a personal taste thing.
I totally forgot, but in Dragon Ball Z, when Krillin gets stabbed by the horns, did they show that? Because I'm pretty sure
they edited it. Like, I think his horns go all the way through the body in the unedited version. I think what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I've seen this image,
but
and what they've done is they've cleaned it up so it's not going through the body and it's just piercing him. So.
Well, yeah, but that's a lot. But see, like, that's one thing I think they would do with Crocodile's hook, is that rather than show the hook, they would just show it like him grabbing like Luffy.
If it was on
something.
Adult Swim, I don't think they would have to do that.
There's a lot less. I mean, if you've watched some of the anime on Adult Swim, sometimes you can tell that there was at least some censorship put in. I'm not exactly a proponent of censorship, but sometimes I can understand the necessity of it.
Sometimes, but I'm someone who really, I'm kind of against the censorship kind of deal. Like,
I mean, so am I, but I can see why.
I can see why too.
Well,
but
I can see why, sometimes, but when they just do it stupidly and like compromise the story, like there's in Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, there's a whole joke where there's these two guys who come in to like get Kaiba, and they're like, "Don't move, or we'll shoot you with our invisible guns." And they're supposed to be holding guns, but they're literally just pointing at him with their fingers. It's like, really?
What?
Yes.
But here's the other thing you got to remember, Mark, is that One Piece is a kid show, and that's the thing that always boggles my mind is how
it doesn't seem like a kid
show. It's not a kid show, but in the ending credit of Ennis Lobby, they show these little for the ending credits, they show like kids' artwork submissions, and then crayons of the character, and it's really like, wow, for the amount of language, because like in this area they were calling Nami a harlot, and it's just like, wow, and the fact that the Japanese allow their kids to see this and they're not bothered by it and look at Japanese. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something darker in Japanese society I don't see, but it's interesting, the amount of protectiveness in America compared to that.
Sanji swears almost every other word.
Now, here's the thing that you got to remember with America. We're a very puritanical society. We're based off a puritanical society. However, though,
unfortunately,
but here's the flip side of that. A lot of other societies don't like blood and gore. But we're a lot more lenient with it here.
Oh yeah, go to France. Oh, they even edit like grittier, violent films. When you go to a French theater, a lot of that's edited out.
And there's been this big thing in Australia, with them banning certain violent video games like Left 4 Dead 2 and things like that.
Oh yeah, because they don't have a mature rating.
I forgot about that.
The thing you got to remember about Australia is though I don't understand their censorship system.
Hey, now was it no? It's New Zealand that actually fixed it because New Zealand didn't have a mature rating system. But then they're like, oh, we've got these games that aren't working. So it's like, okay, let's just make a new system. It was easy as that. And you go to Australia, and it's like,
No.
no.
All right. Well, okay. This was a great discussion, but we got to move on because we've just gone through the first segment. So, anime that we watched over break, because for those of you who don't know, we've been off for spring break about a week. I guess it's 2 weeks ago now. So we got a little bit of time off there, and now we've come back to school here to record the podcast. So, what did you guys watch over since the last?
I'll make
episode?
it in 3 or 4 sentences. I watched 70 episodes of One Piece in 2 weeks. Watched all of Water 7 and started Ennis Lobby. That is all.
That's awesome. Applaud.
And Jeremy refuses.
Nope.
Clearly, I'm not as hardcore as some of the people in this group.
Okay,
That's pretty hardcore.
I watched.
I'm not a video game guy. I know you and Mark, you guys are into a lot more video games. You spend a lot more time doing that. I'm not. If you know, I don't have that.
Not at school, I don't.
Yeah, neither do I at school.
I do.
No, I wish I had more time to play video games. I spent 5 hours today doing homework.
I would cry.
Cry. I don't know. Jeremy, did you watch anything over break?
Actually, yes, I saw about I want to say 8 or 9 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, nice. You saw it on Adult Swim?
No, I actually looked it up online.
Yeah, well, it's available on YouTube and Hulu for free, legally.
And the whole thing was, I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything today. It's raining, and my dog's asleep. Might as well watch something.
Interesting. Oh, I'm curious what you think, because I really love the show.
Oh, I prefer it immensely. I've been watching some of it on Adult Swim, but I prefer it immensely to... The music's not quite as good as...
I have a problem with the music, but one thing I will admit, it's following a better storyline. But here's the thing. Everyone who says they've watched Brotherhood, they discredit the original series. And the old series was good. It did what it needed to do.
I'm not saying the original series was better, but I think Brotherhood blows it out of the water.
Oh, it does. We have some people, though, who refuse to watch the
Well, no, it's not that I refuse. I just haven't done it. It's that simple.
I think the biggest problem with the original series is at the beginning, it's kind of slow, and then all of a sudden it just rushes to this breakneck pace to get to the end.
Right. Yeah, I love Brotherhood. It's definitely one we're considering doing that FMA and FMA Brotherhood thing over the summer.
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
I would really want to do that because Brotherhood is one of my favorite animes.
I think the biggest problem with that is I think combined it's about 100-something episodes.
Well, yeah, but that's over 2 months. I think we could do it. I've watched Brotherhood. Mark's watched Brotherhood. You've watched the original
series.
So most of us have watched at least one of them, so we don't have to watch the other.
No, yeah. I've seen both of them, but I'm gonna have to watch the original because there's a whole character. I think her name was Rose. She becomes prominent during the end, and she's
it's not very well done. She's still in.
No, she's a character in the original manga, but not very important.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden she becomes really important at the end of the anime. I'm like, where did she come from?
Right.
Yeah, and we could also, if we were going to do that, like I told Alex, is I've got the movie for that. And to finish that series, you really need to see the movie. No.
I saw the movie.
Oh.
Did you watch the series, though?
Yes.
And I thought the movie's all right. I've seen the movie 2 or 3 times, and I say it's good. It's not bad.
It's not bad, but I don't like
you're
the
mediocre.
original series.
You just sound so happy, Mark.
I am.
The 2 things that I can say about Brotherhood, though, I think it just did this so much better than the original series. Again, this is not a knock.
Not
the
the
original
first
series.
13 episodes.
Hey, let him talk.
First off, I think it did the homunculus so much better because they have a lot more personality. They seem.
Yes.
Do you disagree?
No. I agree with that. It just there's little nitpicky things because they changed Hohenheim's voice. He had a great voice in the first series. And then I forget they have one of the normal like you said with Count of Monte Cristo. They've got voice actor A playing Hohenheim, and I just hate it.
There's only so much you can do though, I guess, with that. But no, I just think that overall they're better characters. They're not just we're an unstoppable force that just came out of nowhere.
Right.
And I think the other thing I really like is there's a lot more humor elements in Brotherhood. That has more to do with the animation style, and Brotherhood's a little
looser. Yeah, well, it goes into the chibi style sometimes, but
sometimes, but it's never never prominent.
And they had some really I don't think these were in the original, but the the winter place.
Oh yeah,
They added a lot more stuff
Yeah,
into this.
I loved I forget the general, the big guy with the
Armstrong?
saw arm. No, well, I love Armstrong. He's like my
Oh,
favorite.
yeah.
Everyone
No,
loves Armstrong.
But the other general guy that
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
her general or her like assistant or whatever
Lieutenant.
lieutenant. He had like a buzzsaw arm. That was like the coolest thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Briggs.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, he's cool. And Armstrong herself, like not Major Armstrong, the dude, but the girl, the
Yeah,
general. She's a really cool character.
Well,
as well.
and she was really interesting because even though she was not the strongest by far, but the thing though is that because she was so good at leading, that's what made her like a really good.
Yeah, no,
You know.
I totally agree with you on
Yeah.
that. I'm not, again, we're not saying the original is bad. There's just so much more to Brotherhood, though.
Yes, thank you. All right, Mark, what did you watch over break?
I didn't watch much anime only because I played Arkham Asylum and Arkham City for like 2 days straight, and so like I didn't want to stare at a TV screen for the next like
Your
week.
entire spring break.
Yeah. So yeah, I know, right? But what I did is because I got kind of nostalgic, I watched a little. This isn't anime, but I watched a little bit of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, nice.
And I watched a little bit of Teen Titans, just because I remembered those were two of like my favorite cartoons before, and I was really, really happy that they're finally doing something with
Avatar.
Avatar, because
Yes.
oh my gosh, Korra.
We'll talk about that later.
Yes, we will.
Speaking about Teen Titans, this is one thing that was it anime or isn't it? That's something.
No, it's not anime.
It's not,
No.
but it's.
They've got the.
Well, I mean,
Puffy Amiyumi seeing the opening
opening.
intro.
Dude, there's a show I would rather forget.
No, they're real.
Oh no,
Pop stars,
no, I know
but-
they're real pop stars.
Yeah,
but I also remember-
that show that's better left in the dust.
but I mean, even though it wasn't anime, it was like the elements they had, like when like every now and then they would like the art style would change from like the normal to like the chibi and like that kind of stuff. And I thought the style that they used for it worked really well, because for action scenes it was almost exactly like a comic book, and then for like funny normal scenes, they had liberty to change however they wanted.
Right. And for me, I played a ton of video games over break, which was nice. Hey, it's my time away from school, so I actually have time to do it. So I did that, and then I rented at my library. They have the entire collection of Trigun. I'd seen like the later half of the show, but I watched some of the 7 early episodes, and those are a lot more comedic and lighthearted, and I did really enjoy them.
I'm sorry, but I just realized something. When they were doing Toonami, I found out. Apparently, I guess Cartoon Network has the rights to Trigun, because that was on Toonami too.
And one other thing to mention on that, like I mentioned Big O with Adult Swim, they just showed the second season. They showed the first episode of Big O. So it's like, oh, you've got the license to that. You still got the license to Yu Yu Hakusho. They have a lot of licenses that they've been just sitting on and no one knew.
Bring them back, Cartoon Network. We miss them.
Please.
Just shut up and take my money.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched one episode of Brotherhood that my sister's we have a DVR at home, so we DVR'd that. We DVR'd a episode of Fooly Cooly, watched that. And that was really my anime over the break. And now we're going to get into our
The
main...
meat.
Yes, the meat of the show.
I'm pretty sure that whole thing about just random animation and Cartoon Network is the meat of our show. Everything else is just a side dish.
I guess so. Today's it's just about animation. We're not anime anymore. It's just
Today is
just
animation.
whatever we want.
Animation's great.
I mean, we're still focused on anime, but the thing though is that it's hard not to talk about overall animation quality.
With
and
everything.
just focusing
I love
on
being a
anime.
man-child so much.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about Toonami. It just makes sense. But we're not here to talk about Toonami anymore. We're here to talk about Gankutsuou,
The Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, yeah, now, quick question. Is it Gankutsuou, the Count of Monte Cristo, or the Count of Monte Cristo Gankutsuou?
I believe it is Gankutsuou, The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
That's how it is on
For those who
Wikipedia.
don't know, this is a animation done by Gonzo. Did you say in 2003?
2003, 2004, poorly animated with the 3D, but it was
Yes.
it's definitely one of the best shows that Gonzo has has came out with. Some of the other shows that they're most notable for are that I've really enjoyed was Last Exile, not the reboot, but the original Last Exile.
Jimmy's got a nice face going.
They've
right
also
now.
done. They're the ones behind Afro Samurai. Sadly, Witchblade.
Interesting. So not the
lot
best
of-
track record from Gonzo, but this show in particular is quite good.
Yes.
It's based on the book, the Count of Monte Cristo.
Which is the best book in the world.
Yes.
I respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
can give me a better book, I'll read it.
Well,
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I have read that book. I'm a Jules Verne guy, and I just finished The Golden Volcano.
See, I actually preferred To the Moon and Back Again.
Okay.
That's really it's funny. I mean, I laughed a lot during that book.
Hey, that's a book.
No, shut up. Shut up.
Have you read the Lighthouse at the End of the World? I have that book.
I
and I've
have
still
not
gotta
read that one
it.
yet, but I need to get to that. But anyway, going back to Count of Monte Cristo, I'm going to say this right now. Jameson's Price pretty much carries the whole show.
Well, I think it's definitely Jameson Price's acting, but it's also the character of the Count itself. I mean, he's the crux of the whole show.
Oh yeah,
basically.
the fact that he's got everything planned, like I saw in your show notes, Alex. He's the Palpatine. He's got everything planned. He's like, I'm gonna, and Albert's the silly little Anakin. He's like, oh, I believe in you.
Did
Well,
anyone,
it's a bit different than the Anakin, I would say.
did anyone
but-
else feel really uncomfortable every time he said the word scrumptious? I felt really uncomfortable.
I don't remember him saying the word scrumptious.
I think he
all
does
that
at the
much.
dinner scene, A Mother's Secret.
That,
Oh,
that probably scared you so badly it was just ingrained in your mind.
This meal is scrumptious.
And we should point out here real quick, there will be spoilers in this podcast, so be aware. And also, the premise of the show is it's based on the Count of Monte Cristo, but it's set in a hundreds of years in the future. Pretty much. Yes, it's hundreds of years in the future, but remains.
Thousands, actually.
the one-
It's like 50, 45.
Yeah, you're right. So it's thousands of years
There-
in the future, but it remains consistent with the main story and soul of the book. Am I correct?
Well, not kind of. The one thing that kind of bothered me about it, from what I saw, was the book was completely chronological, whereas the anime, it kind of it pieced his backstory bit
Have
by
you read
bit.
the book?
Yeah,
Oh, sweet. So you know what I'm
and
talking
well,
about.
I've read the book and the movie, not
I
read the movie, obviously.
I refuse to watch that movie
Did you read the
because they
script?
screwed
It's-
it up.
What? It's a great movie, though.
I refuse to. Albert is the Count's son. No, thank you. I want nothing to do with it.
Okay,
Interesting. Well, shoot, you were just saying something there that I thought was interesting.
they pieced the backstory. bit
Yes,
by
that
bit.
was it. Because obviously, I know in the book that the Count of Monte Cristo is, your main character, he's your protagonist. Whereas in this, it's following Albert, who's this, young nobleman who's
He
naive.
was the chosen one.
Then he's following him, and so he's sort of watching the Count's plans unfold, and so they remain, sort of elusive, and his backstory isn't really explained until near the end.
And even still, then it's not really explained to a full good depth that the book does, as far as how he gets out of prison, how he comes upon this huge fortune of wealth and whatnot. And like I said, the book's a much better thing, but I do have to congratulate this anime because I think it is the most faithful adaptation from the book. I really respect a lot of the things they do. I mean, even though the Count really doesn't go after Gaspard, I think he went after him a little bit in the book because him and his wife, they owned an inn and he was like an abbey or whatever, and he came and somehow did something to ruin that. But the point, okay, that's okay. Point is, the
Sidetrack.
fact that they showed Gaspard, who was the fourth villain in this conspiracy, and how he was not successful like the other three. I liked that. I loved how it's like, we were wrong to do this to Edmund. He will never forgive us.
Right. And I should point out that Matt has seen this show before, and I just finished watching it, whereas our other two hosts have stopped about halfway through.
Hey, Jeremy's got a liable excuse, and he actually wants to finish it. So
Yeah, Oh, sorry, Ko.
No. You know what? I would trade schedules with you any day of the week. I want to
No.
see how well you do with my schedule.
I know. I mean, I had a couple things I thought I was going to have to do that got canceled, and I had got a little bit more free time. Even then, I literally finished it several hours ago.
No. Okay. the one thing though that made me chuckle the more I watched the show, there was this dawning realization: I'm watching the story of a blue space vampire.
Pretty much.
I mean, I might go back and finish. It's just that I hit that kind of slow point in the series, and it was kind of hard for me to get back into it.
Yeah.
Where exactly were you? Like,
He's
what just
episode
happened?
10. I know exactly where he's at. He's basically they got the letter, right?
Yeah.
They read the letter and they're like,
Okay.
Edmund's never going to forgive
Yeah,
us.
there's-
He already knows what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It does get slow for a couple episodes there, but then his revenge starts going like 13, 14, somewhere in there.
Okay, I've got to ask this: did they really have to make Beppo a transvestite?
yeah, they didn't. I didn't.
I know what the whole point is behind that, but seriously, turning back, I know I've read a little bit of Count of Monte Cristo. I just never gotten around to finishing it. It's just it's just been there. But anywho, I know Beppo was a really really minor character
In the book, yeah. Peppo is the amount of she's used in the first scene or not in the first scene because believe it or not, the way where this series starts as far as in the book, it's in media res because the book begins at the very beginning from when Edmond Dantes was
Young and everything.
Like Marc said, it's a very linear story. This was a little more jumping around, telling the present and going back to the past.
It starts at a specific point, and then it gives you hints to what happened in the backstory bit by bit.
Yeah. And what's that I was going to say? God, I am so terrible at this.
By the way, did anyone else start to just hiss a little bit at their computer screen when the Count referred to that soup that was made during the dinner as a simple rustic dish? I'm just thinking to myself, there I see lobster in that soup. I see clams. Shut up, you whiny.
Like that might be part of his character because he's got like trillions of dollars.
Excuse me, it wasn't the Count who said it. It was can't remember her name.
Oh, it's
Lady Wrong Color.
The one with the green hair.
Mercedes.
No, Mercedes, yes, that's it. that's something that I'm sorry. I'm gonna sound racist here, but I don't mean to. The Viscount is the wrong color. I'm gonna come out right there and say it. His parents are not. They are definitely not white.
They're tan.
They're very. Oh no! This goes beyond. They are. You know what? I'm sounding really racist no matter how I phrase this up. What I'm trying to say is, how did they give birth to cornbread?
Well, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the flashbacks, when they show Edmond Dantes, when he's young, and when Albert's father is young, he's more pale skinned than he is now, isn't he?
I think so.
And I'm going to be completely honest. I think I would have preferred it if he was if all three of them were actually I guess I almost want to say that they were, I guess I want to say they were pretty much Southern Asian.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I would have just preferred it that way because I'm very tired of seeing the same face in anime all the time. I'm very tired of seeing the same body type. And it was actually, I think, a nice little change up, I guess.
You wanted a little variation?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than the sort of European Caucasian sort of,
or
look.
just really just like the blinding white. I don't know, and I guess it just makes them a more interesting character as a result. Like, well, wow, these two are nobles in France in 5,000 years in the future. Ow, my head hurts.
Right now. One thing I found interesting, of course, was it's immediately recognizable from the first episode that Gonzo does this strange thing with the art style where like the nobles are wearing these clothes that seem to sort of shift colors and patterns as they move and everything. And I sort of thought that was a cool animation technique, but I know, Jeremy, you weren't as big of a fan.
I've seen it done before. I saw it done in again, we mentioned this earlier, the show Chowder does it.
Which you got to remember, Chowder was done another 4 years after, and Chowder does it much better because there's times where like when Albert and them, they're like sitting down or whatever, and they barely move, but the pattern jerks really badly. I think a lot of that just has to do with the computer technology of that time.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna just say this right now: the Count ship looks horrible. I mean, it looks worse than the other 3D in the show.
The horses look pretty bad.
Yeah.
The horse. Speaking of which, what was up with his particular vehicle? It was a combination of a Mercedes and a horse-drawn carriage.
I guess the horses just look more menacing than him driving a car, I guess.
They show him driving a car. It's like, well, wait a minute, wait. They showed you getting to his house in a horse-drawn Mercedes, and now you're driving a early 1900s car, early 20th century car. What did I miss?
Yeah. I don't know. Mark, what did you think of like the art style?
I mean, I liked the art style. It's just I don't know if it was necessarily like my thing, you know?
In parts of it, it's done very well. In other parts, it's a little obnoxious. Like, one of the things I really hate is the way they show Paris with the weird, like, the face blimps flying, just all the weird imagery. Like, the idea is that it's artificial, that it's not real anymore, that they can afford all this artificial stuff, and make the city look however they want. But
I think my favorite part about the art style was how they their take on like the different technology and like how we as a people like advanced or whatever.
I still have the DVDs. I think if I gave those to you, that'd be more of a incentive.
Yeah. What did you think of the environment though? Like, we know how like the people looked and like, how they did all that, but like what did you think about like, the backgrounds and that kind of thing?
Backgrounds were a lot of the times 3D. They weren't really good.
Really? It seemed like it was 2D most of the time.
There were a few 2D ones, but one of the reasons why I rate this series so high on my level or list of things is why I liked the plot. I like the characterization. It's like that's one thing Alex has noticed about me is all the series that I tend to really like have a they've got usually a deeper plot or there's a lot of character analysis, you'd say.
So is that why you like Redline?
No.
Redline's just really pretty.
I know.
Pretty
I'm
much.
just kidding.
That's the opposite.
It's funny because if you look like really deep into it, there are like there is like kind of like a plot and like some kind of side stuff.
Yeah,
but like
it's all secondary.
Yeah,
to the
but that's not
race.
that's not the reason why you watch it though.
Well, that you say that and you're big into plot. But then at the end of Redline, I got so upset because the ending
plot
makes no sense, and they just basically say kick logic to the curb.
Because guess what? There's nothing animated like that today. There is nothing.
You're correct. It's awesome for the animation, but from a storytelling perspective, it just takes a giant nosedive.
But that's that's what I can say. It's like, well, I'm just going to appreciate this fully for the art. Then, yeah, I can focus just on the art and say, yes, this is a great film. I mean, the plot is very minor. I'm not focusing on that. But my problem with anime sometimes is where they're going to half-butt the plot, and it's just kind of...
Oh, self-censorship.
Oh, yeah, self-censorship. Oh.
But, like, I loved the action. The action in Redline was like that definitely made it for me. Yes, the plot was
weak,
bleh, and it was yeah, but oh my gosh, the race.
NASCAR and Crash.
Holy duck, look at that race.
But no, Gankutsuou, the animation, yeah, it's not the best. I mean, there's a lot of areas it could have been better, but there were some areas where it's like, yes, like especially the ending credit animation.
The opening credit animation it's
pretty.
It's simple and it's stylized and that's cool, but I really like the ending animation.
Okay, I'll say this right now. As far as animation goes, as far as character actually goes, I think the Count is probably
the best.
He had the most work put into him. The problem is that he also has the most 3D, that weird 3D patterning thing going on. He's got it in his hair too. Do you know how annoying that is? Do you know how distracting that is?
Well,
I noticed
a couple of the characters.
Yeah,
with that.
With some of the characters. Now, one thing, since we've been talking about pirates and stuff recently, is when Albert went to the Count's mansion. I don't know if you noticed this, but his pattern for his clothing that was that light red, pinkish color. The letters, you never saw it all at one time, but the letters were pirate. It was PRIATE. Like if you, like it would just show like RATE, but then other times you'd see the giant P and all. You just see
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that makes me bring up another point. I don't know how far in the future this show is set, but I didn't realize that carrying around an antique gun was considered the height of flamboyant fashion. Did no one else notice that? Seriously, no one else makes mention of the fact he's carrying around a flintlock pistol.
Yeah, well, and then the fact that they fight with swords in the future.
In the grim darkness of the future, there is no lead.
Yeah. One thing, I've talked to Matt a little bit about this, but I'd like to go back and rewatch it and count the number of times someone says like coincidence, because he's like, Albert's like, oh, look, the Count shows up at just the right time. What a coincidence. There's no way this could possibly be some sort of elaborate evil plan. No
I didn't
way.
notice them saying coincidence very much.
No, what just started to bother me is, oh, the Count's clearly a con man. Oh, the Count's clearly a con man. He has a house made out of gold, but he's clearly a con man. The logical fallacy of that is
Or the other
astounding.
thing, since we all got to this point, when they're at the opera house and you see Albert's father look up and he sees Hayate, which is obviously the princess of the alien world that he took over, and
Dun dun dun.
he realizes this, and he's like, he understands that's her, and then all of a sudden, you know, like when he goes to they're going to go through the hunt to go find the mysterious room, doesn't say anything to the Count about, oh, why is this girl there, and then doesn't say anything about it, and then when she goes into to frame him, like,
that's
you
later.
were the guy, you decimated our people and stuff. He's like, oh, it can't be her, it can't be her. It's like
he forgot.
yeah,
somehow.
like he's got some little mental issues there,
Well,
some Alzheimer's.
And along with that whole coincidence thing, like, I love how, I believe it's even at like episode 3 when the Count comes to visit them for the first time. Like, it starts to rain, and his black chariot drawn by these terrifying looking horses pulls up, and everyone's just like, oh, I wonder how the Count's gonna be. And then the lights go off, and he enters the room, and like
it's dark.
wind blows in, and he looks terrifying. And then the lights come back on. It's like, oh, that happened. How are you doing today, Count?
Yeah, no one mentioned. I'm just thinking, okay, so that's never going to be mentioned. That's never going to be brought up.
I'm not gonna highlight that.
It was cool for stylization, but I thought it would be like, okay, isn't this? It's kind of obvious he's evil. Come on.
Or if not
Hello.
evil, there's something unnatural about it. And then, speaking of which, that whole scene, I think it's actually later on in the same episode, they start talking like, oh, I didn't get any voice recordings of him. Oh, well, maybe it was a malfunction. Then they start to go, well, look, he didn't appear in any of the photos either.
But they never go back to highlight on it.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
I guess you sort of assume that's Gankutsuou.
Well, I don't know if it's that, but I just know it's kind of weird. It's like, okay, so there's all these problems that you guys are noticing with the Count, but you're still it's like you realize this guy. It's almost like letting your child go to school, but you realize there's someone there who's creeping on your child, and it's like,
What?
okay,
That is the weirdest.
okay. Albert's friends, Albert's family, they all know something's weird with the Count, but it's like, okay, bye, Albert, go play with the Count today, because he goes to see the Count every day, and it's like...
Okay, I think a better comparison there would have been, it's like standing on the train tracks. You could see the train, you could see the light coming from the train, you could feel the tracks rattling. You just turn your back, and then you get hit. Oh, what a surprise!
I know. Well,
better.
It's interesting you bring that up, because that brings up the character of Albert, who's our protagonist.
He was the chosen one.
And from the first episode, I kind of was like, oh, I don't know if I like this guy because he's whiny and he's sort of ignorant.
It's interesting.
And
This is one of my second favorite animes, and my first one's with a famous character that we all love who's whiny, and that's Shinji Ikari.
Shinji Ikari.
God.
Maybe that's a problem with me.
Yes.
You like whiny characters. So is Usopp your favorite?
No, I hate Usopp. He's
Oh, hate Usopp.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. You took that too far.
Oh dear. But no, at least for me with Albert, like the first episode does not do him kindness. He gets a little bit better. But you make that point, like, he sees the train coming towards him, but he sort of is like, oh, I'm just gonna look the other way. And he's got that friend Franz, and you guys haven't really gotten there, but later on he goes and researches things and finds out information about the Count's past and Gankutsuou and all this stuff. He's always trying to warn him, about the Count, and then later on he gets killed.
I think what really bothers me more about the Count, it's the fact that he's blue.
I liked it though.
No.
There's
It's
some
not.
really
It's not.
great cosplay with his costume.
Oh no. It's not that he's blue that bothers me. It's the fact that no one's seen. Everyone's like, oh yeah, he's human. He's blue, people. He's got pointy ears. There's no one else seeing this.
Hey,
Yeah.
I like
Well,
him.
I guess in a future where they've made contact with alien races, it's probably not.
I
as
mean, they got the
weird.
green guy too.
No, but and then he mentions, oh yeah, I'm from Earth. You're blue, and then you have pointy ears.
It's true.
That's no.
Yeah, so I do kind of like how they, after Franz dies, they do sort of basically point out that, yeah, Albert, you're not a very good person,
And
like
then
at
they-
all.
they do,
And
and
he goes
then
into depression for a
depression,
little
and
while.
I don't know. The whole thing I don't like about Albert is, oh, I'm so innocent. No, you're not. You're a whiny, spoiled.
And that's
noble.
that's one thing I loved about Gonzo's characterization of us. Once they kill his best friend off, he's kind of like, oh, I'm a terrible person, and then that's when the counts thing start. Remind me if I'm correct with this, but that's when the counts thing start happening, and it's like,
Well,
but
it's-
Count, you're here for me, and then the Count's just like, no, it slams
Well,
the
actually,
door.
it's a little bit before then, because basically the Count does that, and then he challenges him to the duel, and Franz goes in his place and dies for him, basically.
Yeah, but the point is it's like, he has no hope. It's like, my best friend Count, he doesn't like me anymore.
Pretty much.
But Count, why?
Yeah, but
you weren't the chosen one.
Oh, and this will be interesting to you guys because basically at the end, like the Count is on the verge of his ultimate revenge. He's already taken out the banker dude and the judge, and is about to kill his Albert's father, Edmund. No, not Edmund. I forget his name. Anyways,
Ferdinand.
and how does he get stopped? How is Gankutsuou defeated? This demon that's like taking over his mind and soul and body and everything. Albert comes and gives him a hug and then kisses him on the cheek.
The power of love.
Pretty much.
Very, very creepy love.
Yeah, when I watched the series, I ignored that. I didn't see it. I'm not one of those people who watches anime and starts going like, oh, like, I guess one of the perfect example is like, let's take K-On! If you know what that is, it's basically about these girls who make a band. Yeah, okay, who cares? They eat tea, they drink tea and eat cake, and that's the whole point of the show.
What?
It's terrible.
You've got really weird taste.
No, I
No.
don't. No, I've never watched it.
No,
but
it's
that's the point.
No, it's funny. I've never seen it, but I know it's pretty popular.
It's really but here's the
But
thing.
like, why?
It's like Sailor Moon for people who don't like action.
Yeah, and basically, because guess what? People like it because then they can start saying, well, that girl really, really likes that girl. Like, there's no intonation at all in the show. You're
Wait,
like,
wait.
It's one of those.
It's a shipping
no.
war. It's a shipping war show.
Yeah. Well,
But the point is, it's like people who watch The Count, they'll be like, they love it, and then it's like, oh yeah, and then they get their kicks because it's like, oh, Albert looks so.
it's interesting you
dreamy
bring
at
that
the
up
Count.
because I feel that way a little bit about Death Note because there's a whole bunch of things
Oh,
with the
yeah.
whole L and light thing.
La 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 la.
I-
Let's not get into yaoi.
One
La la
thing,
la la.
one thing I'd like to say is that I hate it when fans group
Estimate
together.
that.
When fans group together people, I have no problem like watching an anime if like there are
Stuff,
gay,
you
there
know,
are
gay
gay, there are
relationships.
gay relationships with gay characters. Okay, that's fine. But when people put together people who are obviously not gay
Together,
and,
at all.
yeah, and they just put them together just because they think it's funny or because they think it's cute, and I'm like, no, but that's not how the
Yeah.
character is.
Welcome to the scary otaku culture.
I'm gonna flip this table. When people put together Zoro and Sanji from One Piece, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because they fight and like they're also like, but they fight because they're like. It's funny because at first they fight because like they kind of hate each other, but
Marc.
like you can tell it's like because they're friendly or whatever. But like, oh my gosh,
That's why we
Marc-
don't read fan fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really.
Never-
why
I
you
don't
avoid
read fan fiction.
I can mention about 40 horrible fan fictions, but I won't because I feel bad for our viewers
If
I ever mention that.
If you search like for images of Sanji, like 1/4 of those images will be Sanji with Zoro in some kind of weird pose.
You know what?
I'm not even kidding.
Dude, it's even another example is try looking up Team Fortress 2 Heavy.
Nope.
Guess what character he's with the most often?
Medic.
Uh-huh.
That's I understand like, oh yeah, like super friendship because they're always together, yeah, and then it's like you see them kissing and you're like,
Oh, no.
why?
Why? My God, why?
Break the glass.
Yeah.
If they stated in the game, like if Steam stated that,
Valve.
or not Steam, whatever, I don't care.
It's called Valve.
If Valve stated that the heavy and medic they were having a relationship, I would have no problem with
But the
it.
fact that people start.
And it's really creepy.
It's
what people.
super creepy.
It's like you won't even be looking for it.
See, and
No.
that's one of the things I always will hate about nerd culture is you always get that.
About fans in general.
Fans in general,
Yeah.
they'll
We're
always-
terrible people
It's the ones
Pretty
who are
much.
deprived of,
and just depraved.
Yeah.
Pretty much. One question I had about the show is in episode 2, we see the Count get stabbed by the knife that the one gangster
never
guy
explain
throws.
that?
Well, here's what I'm getting to. And he pulls it out and he's fine. It's like, oh, he's like immortal or he can't die or whatever. And then later on in the show, he gets like shot multiple times and stabbed and he doesn't die. And they go into this whole thing about how basically as long as he has no emotions, like Gankutsuou keeps him from dying. But then when Vilfo is coming to kill him, and then Albert gets shot, and like he goes and takes the bullet in the place of Albert, he has to have his one alien dude, go and take the bullet out of his body. Is the whole idea there that because he was acting to save Albert, it was like an act of kindness, and so Gankutsuou didn't protect him?
It basically was showing that he had the emotion. He had emotions going on at that point. He had fear for Albert's life. He cared for Albert. I'm just fueling the flames at this point.
The point
I
is
see what you're
one thing
saying.
that. Tell me I don't know how well the anime highlighted this or not, but the point is once he got his revenge, he didn't feel like it was worth it. Or?
Well, but he even told his the people who serve him, like, when this is all over, you take my wealth and fortune and go off and fulfill your dreams. Basically, like he didn't have a life after his revenge. He wasn't planning on doing anything else afterwards.
That brings up another good point. How much money does this guy have? Is it ever just kind of like described?
Nope.
There's a scene where like he invests a bunch of money in the one banker's stock to make it zoom up, and then he takes it all out, and his stocks zoom down and crash. And they throw out ridiculous numbers like trillions of dollars. So the idea is basically he has infinite wealth.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Why is it that he has such a hard time putting this whole scheme into motion? It seems like he's having a really hard time with it half the time.
I think it just takes time to get, like, he had to befriend Albert and get him to bring him
Then
to
he's gotta,
Paris and manipulate all these people.
Befriend the Vilfo, because I always thought that was interesting how he really, like, whenever he would talk to either Madame Danglars, the lady who's having sex with one of Albert's friends.
Oh, right.
Like when she's like, "Oh, Count," she blushed at the Count, and then there's also Vilfo's wife, who really gets some lusty thoughts, as we've all seen.
Yeah, well, she kind of goes insane later.
Yeah, but
A lot of the characters go insane, actually.
But no, it's just interesting because it's like the Count's got some. Oh, Alex, no.
Hey, it's a text from our producer, so it counts. Let's think. What else I want to talk about? Oh, I was interested in what you guys thought of the whole relationship between Albert and Eugenie, because I didn't really like it at first, but it started to grow on me. But they really never give us like any sort of resolution with it.
She's gay in the book. She never liked Albert.
Okay, that's in the book.
She runs
We're
off
not
with
talking about
another
the book.
woman in happily ever after.
Interesting.
Meh.
I don't know. Mark,
Yeah.
any thoughts?
Not enough background to her character other than
Yeah.
her family sucks because her mom's sleeping with people.
My
And
mother's a whore,
Oh,
and her
no.
father smells of elderberries.
I just want to say that because of that, I'm kind of indifferent to it,
Right.
And then her father's like obsessed with money, and everything he mentions is money. Like
Yeah.
when they're going to find the secret room, he wants to do it because there's a prize, and he thinks it's money.
That's my point.
Or-
That's a weak point of writing. Like, this character is so one-dimensional. It's like a cartoon villain.
Yeah, but you saw the end. Like he's naked with all this gold. Yeah, he's like obsessed with.
Well, yeah, I get it, but that's my point. Like, I understand why they do it, but I wish they could have given him a bit more complexity.
It worked for me. He was obsessed with gold. He just wants money. He's
I'm sorry to bring this up. I know I've sounded very negative about the show. I did enjoy it. There was one thing that just kind of struck me as bizarre when I finally realized it. The people in that show have the most bizarre human proportions I've ever seen.
I don't know the ones in this show didn't bother me. I've seen some of the stuff that is it Clamp, that animation studio.
That's
they do
just
like
a group of designers.
Oh, okay. Well, I know they do that like XX Holic show. My sisters have seen that. Code Geass, like their character designs are really weird because like they have really long arms and legs. They're very skinny.
Their toes, like, are really long. One thing I really love about Holic, not the anime, but the manga, like that's one of those titles where, because normally I'm an anime guy, but the anime, it's okay, but the manga, it's all this Japanese little culture stuff that they have to do, translation notes, and it's like, oh, that's so neat. That's a creepy series, but I love it because it. Yeah, we're not talking about that, but
I mean,
yeah.
I guess what I'm really trying to point out here is, do you guys remember? I believe it was the second episode. I can't think of the woman's name, but she,
what about it?
I don't remember.
She ended up showering like right in front of Franz.
Oh, Madam G.
Yeah, everyone else remember? She has the absolute most bizarre proportions I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
And then I realized the more I watched the show, wait a minute, all the women have, except for. Okay, Beppo's a weird one. But anyway, aside from Beppo, all of the women had those proportions. All of them.
Art design.
And, I mean, there's a difference, though.
What was the proportion? I'm trying to...
I guess the best way to describe it would be like this.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, the thing is, though, she's got like these little tiny slender legs. It's like, how does it support that?
She's got like...
for those of you who couldn't see,
No, don't repeat what I just motioned.
I'm not. No, I'm not. But essentially, he made an hourglass shape, except the hourglass in the middle was super, super tiny, and the top was big.
Like football player.
Just really wide shoulders.
Yeah, her character is actually interesting, just even in the book, because they never reveal her name. She's just Madame G. And it's in the book. It's just
mystery.
Whatever.
I know. I'm just kidding.
So, all right.
No.
And,
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
I don't know. All I can say is, like, this series has its flaws, obviously. Like, I'm rewatching it a second time. I really nastily pointed. It's like, ugh, I didn't really realize how I did not like that. Especially with we're going to go find the mysterious room. The plot did not hold very well there for me, because it's like, then what is everyone else doing? They're just kind of standing around, and it's a party.
Hi, Jeremy.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, hey, that's another family. Hey, and there's... Like, when it's focusing on characters, it's not saying what the other characters are doing, and they're just kind of... And, no one wonders where Villefort or Madame Danglars go when they go outside and like, oh, they're chilling.
I love your voice whenever you make fun of people.
The point is, I thought that was really weak plot, right? Just write, not even plot, just writing in general.
Okay, basically, anytime Beppo started talking, it was pretty much a low point.
Yeah.
She kind of creeped me out. It's not because she was... It was just the way she acted. It's just like...
And the way she talks out bad, like, young master.
Yeah, it is kind of creepy.
Just a lot of her body language is just very... it's unsettling. It's not because... It's not because that she's a transvestite. It's because she's just creepy.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
Well, I did think...
I got into your father's good graces. He's a man, and all men have needs. And she starts licking her lips. It's like, oh,
yeah, that was pretty bad.
Don't do it that way.
Well, it's kind of funny because later on, basically to get into Eugenie's wedding, Beppo disguises Albert as like one of the maids, and as soon as I saw that, I just wrote down cross-dressing for the win. Like, that's basically what that just showed right there. It was like, oh, that's just great.
So,
I'm just going to bring up one more question I had that was a little confusing to me, because throughout the series, you see the Count with those, like, medical pills that he needs, and you see these points where it seems like he's sick and he's in pain or something, and I'm confused about, is that a actual disease that he has, or is that Gankutsuou, like, taking over his body?
In the book, it's opium.
If I had to take a guess, it's probably either opium in this, or it's probably just some sort of like emotion killing drug.
It could be. I don't know, because in the book, it's just like in this series they always show him with it, but they never actually say what these little pills are. But when I read the book, it's like, oh, that's opium. Whoa.
He just basically says it's my magic pills.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's taking ecstasy.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't get that.
Viagra.
Also, did anyone else like the fact that they were just like those red and blue Dr. Mario style pills?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
That's what he does when he's bored. He pours them out on the table.
Starts playing Dr. Mario.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. That just confused me a bit. Like I didn't understand whether it was Gankutsuou, whether it was something else. Oh, yes, read the book. And yeah, so I guess overall, I thought this series was very good. Kind of like Baccano and Gurren Lagann. I would put it amongst some of the best anime I've seen, although definitely not one of my like top favorites or anything like that. The ending, like the last episode, basically episode 23 is the real climax of the show, and episode 24 takes place 5 years later, so it's showing what happens. Oh, yeah. And I was really kind of disappointed with that because they talk about like, oh, let's go to a party, to meet with our friends, and then they never show the party, and then Albert goes to Franz's grave and talks to him, and then he like hears Eugenie and goes to run to Eugenie, but you don't see that. Instead, it ends on him like walking down the streets of Paris, and that's it. It's like, that's really stupid.
It was okay. I remember it was a little disappointing, but
I'm gonna rant. I don't know. What's your guys' overall thoughts about Gankutsuou?
I'm curious to see, like with Gankutsuou, it sounds like what Marc would describe with like Soul Eater, how the last episode just kind of. But if the whole series, if it's just the last episode that bugs you, I can still say it's a good series because the rest of the stuff gave you the content. I know some people are really picky about how you end a show, but the problem is watching Big O, and I'm used to really screwed up endings, and it's kind of like, okay, if
there's
you don't...
no ending.
Yeah, well, yeah, you love Ava, so yeah, you are used to screwed up endings.
Oh yeah,
that's not an ending.
It's called the end of Evangelion.
That's like a man pounding his head into a keyboard. This looks good.
Pretty much.
No, I guess what the point is I've gotten used to. And I hate to say it because it's really not good to get used to something that's not good, but I'm getting used to the point where it's like, oh, this is a good anime, and then the ending's just,
You're like, oh, I'm used to it.
terrible. It's like,
I don't know.
it was good, but the ending sucked.
Personally, with me, like, if someone tells me that an anime or a show or a movie or whatever is like, it's slow at the beginning, it's not as good, but it gets better, and like the ending is really great, I'm more inclined to do that than something that starts really great and then declines.
Yeah, but like I've noticed with Marc, not that it's like I've been analyzing you, but
Okay.
you usually like something that's
Profiling
pretty
Marc.
fast paced. Like you're something that if it doesn't catch you, it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. And I'll have to agree with you because I've watched. The problem with me is I've watched too many slow shows, and now I'm in that same boat. Because some of these older shows that I've seen that have been slow, it's like, okay, yeah, I watched it, but now would I ever go back? No.
I think that is actually, like, now that you bring that up, I hadn't noticed that until now, because if you look back at the past two animes, Baccano, it was pretty slow at the beginning, and I didn't finish that, and then this anime, and it was pretty slow at the beginning, and I was kind of...
I don't know, I'm going to have to push it on you, because
Yeah.
Nice. I honestly wouldn't say that. I guess Baccano starts a little slow, but I mean, it's a very fast-paced show. I mean, there's so much going on. It's, a lot of plot all the time. It's constantly moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but that's one thing I've noticed of you.
I've been analyzing you, Marc. I've been social profiling.
Also, he apparently doesn't like getting butt dialed.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy's butt, like, super dialed me. Okay. Just
Super dialed?
Just because we're kind of wrapping up, I'm just going to tell this story real quick. Basically, I was in class. I get a call from Jeremy, and I pick it up, and or I didn't pick it up. I ignored it. And so as I'm leaving class, I was like, oh, yeah, I should call Jeremy. But I get another call from Jeremy. I'm like, oh, good, I'll talk to him. Pick up the phone, start talking. Hey, Jeremy, you there? Nothing. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy.
Did you
Nothing.
Did you hear nothing at all?
No, I didn't even hear anything. So I hung up. Like, as soon as I hang up, 2 seconds later, I get another call from Jeremy. And I'm like, okay, I pick up. Jeremy, hey, what's up? Jeremy doesn't say anything still. So I hang up and I call him back immediately. As I'm calling him, I'm getting a call from him. And I'm like, no, I'm going to voice dial. So it went to the voicemail or whatever. And And I was like, Jeremy, stop super butt dialing me or whatever. And so I hang up, and when I get back to my dorm, I go over to Jeremy's door and knock. I'm like, hey, Jeremy, what's up? He looks at me and he's like, nothing. What's up with you? I think the funniest part was the fact that as soon as I hung up, 2 seconds later, his phone called me again.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my fun adventure of the day. Have you ever had? Okay, this is. I'm gonna
Sidetrack.
No, I'm gonna bring this into anime. Have you ever had something really weird or wacky happen in real life, and you could totally see it in like a anime-esque kind of like scene? Because I've had that where like something really ridiculous happens, and I'm like, wow.
Well, I guess I sort of had something like that over spring break because my family came down to the Hocking Hills area in our RV to do a little bit of camping before coming to OU, and it was Sunday, and school started Monday. We were driving. And in Hocking Hills, we had no cell phone coverage because it's like, really bad. So we're in the middle of nowhere. And my dad misses this turn to get on the highway. So we're going up this hill and he sees this one little like house and is like, okay, I'll pull into here, back out, and, we'll reverse and go back to the highway. And so he does that. And then he goes off the road a little bit. And of course, that side of the road is really mucky. So our RV is literally like sideways parked across the road, blocking the path, and we're stuck. And we were literally there for an hour before we finally got it out. So that seems like something from a show.
Yeah, like you feel like you're in a comedy or something.
Yeah, pretty much a bad rom-com or something. All right. Do you guys want to talk about like anime adaptations of other works, or just move on to the closing?
I'd say I move on to the closing.
Yeah, we spent a lot. We had a good discussion on both Toonami and
Gankutsuou.
And Gankutsuou. Yeah.
Gankutsuou.
Okay,
I feel like a baby. Gaga.
there was gratuitous Italian in that show, but
All right.
Wait. Say. I'm gonna get it. Say it one more time.
Gankutsuou.
Gankutsuou. There we go.
Yeah, it's close
Oh yeah.
One quick thing I thought I would mention. I did think it was very cool how in the opening narration it kind of becomes obvious that it's Gankutsuou talking, and it's the voice of Vincent Price, obviously, but it's a little bit different. You can tell he talks about like, my friend is blah 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 blah.
And he's talking about the count.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little narrative thing to do.
But at the end, it's like in the book they didn't need Gankutsuou. They didn't need this weird demon thing to commit the revenge. It's I don't know.
He had a dumb name.
Just because you can't pronounce it, Marc. All right. So, as far as what we should talk about next time, the theory we have is watching this. What's it called? Wolf Brigade something? Jinro the Wolf Brigade, which is a film that Jeremy has been heavily advocating for.
I've seen some trailers of that. It's Mamoru Oshii who directed it.
I honestly cannot remember. It's so pretty, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Interesting. All
In
right.
a dark, gritty sort of way.
So we were thinking of doing that as well as watching 2 episodes of The Legend of Korra, which is the sequel to
I don't know if we should
Avatar.
review
The sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. For those who don't know, it's not out on TV yet, but they've actually legally released the first 2 episodes. You can Google it and find it. And so it's not actually technically anime, but it's heavily inspired by anime. The Avatar, the show, was very influenced by Asian culture and references and things. What do you think, Matt?
I would wait till that show's complete, and then we do just nothing. We just do a whole because that show's going to be on streaming. Nowadays, if you've got a show on TV, especially like Nickelodeon, or whatever, it's going to be streamed. And I would love to watch that show in a clear swoop.
I have an idea. One thing I would like to do is that if we did a preview of the show where we do watch the first 2 episodes, and then if you want to, we can wait until the series is done. And then we review it, like in its entirety.
Well, you say that, but we have no idea. I mean, it could be 3 years before
26
it's
episodes.
done.
No, it's only 26 episodes. It's not going to be that long.
Well, I know, but what if it does really well? They might do a second season.
Well, yeah,
then it's the this is really selling well, so let's keep making more of it.
Well, no, but they
Pokemon.
They did that with
Hey, you know what?
They did that with Avatar. I mean, there's 3 seasons of 20 episodes, and it works fine.
I know, and also if you think about it, the only reason why they came out with Korra is because the fans wanted more, and they did, and they've
But
had
they're doing a good job with it. They took the time to write it,
which is to say that if they wanted to continue it after the 26 episodes, which I doubt, but if it does well enough and they do want to continue it, I think the crew is good enough that they would actually come up with something good.
I would rather see if they made something new with that same creative staff, because if they've already done Avatar, they could probably come out with something even.
Yeah.
True, but you have to think about it in the fact of fans. I mean, people love the series so much.
They love that world.
I would be kind of sad to see it go away. But
that's what we thought of the original Avatar, and now they, in the recent years they're bringing it,
which is great, which is why everyone's excited.
Right. That's a good way to do it. You create a good series and then leave it alone for a couple years and let the fans want more, and then give them what they want.
Not Code R2.
That's Code Geass R2 for this.
No, I'm talking about Nice the Old Republic.
Hey.
Oh.
For all the bad things you can say about Nice the Old Republic. Anyway, for all the bad things you say about it, it tells a better story up until the end. You know what?
Yeah,
the biggest
I'll admit it does, but
the biggest thing is the
terrible.
one thing you can say about Obsidian, they write really, really good stories. They can't program to save their lives.
Yeah, they have the bugs and glitches up the wazoo.
Oh yeah, but you know what? I've never been disappointed with the story in a Obsidian game. I honestly like the fact that it's not. The problem with BioWare games, they're very black and white. No matter how you want to cut it, they're very, very black and white.
I think the first game was done by BioWare.
It is, and it's very black and white. There's no neutral really. You're good or you're just a psychopath. No, you're not even evil. You're just a sociopath.
I chose the psychopath.
But with reviewing Korra, I think that even though it's not anime, we can still kind of see. We can watch the episodes and kind of compare it with how they use elements of anime and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think, because the show hasn't actually started yet, so this is sort of like Mark said, a preview, and also, and I was gonna say something. Oh,
and we can get you, the fans, to start watching it before the show even starts.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, we'll stick to that then.
Okay, so we'll do Korra and Jinro, the Wolf Brigade, for next time. I'm going to tell Keith about that so he knows what we're doing.
Ooh, but how's he gonna? Does he have Netflix?
I don't know. He might have trouble with Jinro, but he can watch Korra for sure.
Okay.
Everyone can watch Korra.
That's right.
World.
All right.
Those aliens.
Okay.
Blue vampire aliens.
No, blue space vampires.
Yes.
You can't see it, but I'm doing the aliens guy thing.
Aliens. Yes.
You also can't see it, but my hair is totally up like his right now.
Totally is. All right. So if you've enjoyed this podcast, you should review us on iTunes. Give us 5 stars, a good rating. We all love that kind of stuff.
We're clearly not digging for a good review right now.
Definitely not. How about just listeners, please? Anybody?
No, but in all honesty, even if you don't think that we're worth 5 stars, just let us know how we're doing. Either send us mail if you want to give the email.
Requests.
You can email us at techheads@avwproductions.com.
You can follow us at our Twitter, which is at techheadsou.
Or if you happen to be in the Athens area, you can just throw rocks at us as we walk by.
That works too. Or paper, because that hurts less.
We only deserve rocks.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Yeah, we've got a blog on avwproductions.com. You can read all of our stuff there. We're on YouTube. Is it AVW Media? I want to say that's our YouTube channel.
Yes, yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, yep. I'm Darth Schmitz on Twitter. Matt.
I don't have a Twitter,
That's
but
right.
This is Matt Lunn.
And Mark.
M. Goldsmith, and this is Mark Goldsmith.
And Jeremy doesn't have Twitter.
I don't have a Twitter, but you can call me Hermdiger.
Hermdiger.
All right, well, thank you guys very much for being on this awesome episode of Shredded Cels, episode 5, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Shredding it up.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2020.